Well, I think we'll get started. Um, so, welcome to our first Dementia Advocacy broadcast. This is our welcome and our orientation session, and we're so pleased you've joined us. We can't wait to share this information. We can't wait to hear what your desires are, what we can do to help you, and what you can do to help us. So let's just begin our Dementia Advocacy Canada orientation session. This is our action team, and we're going to introduce ourselves. I have the picture of me in the first spot. My name is Myrna Norman. I live in Maple Ridge, BC, right there on the West Coast. I've been diagnosed for about 11 years, re-diagnosed and diagnosed again. You know how it plays. And I'm so pleased to be part of Dementia Advocacy Canada. We need this, and we need your support, and we need to work with you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Roseanne Burke. I live in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and I was a care partner to my father who lived with vascular dementia for over 5 years. Today, I help other families who are on a caregiving journey, and I'm thrilled to be part of Dementia Advocacy Canada and thrilled to welcome you here today to our webinar.
Hi, my name is Genevieve McLean, and I'm from Calgary, Alberta, and we're here to try and welcome you and answer any questions that you may have. And I'm very pleased to be part of Dementia Advocacy Canada. And if any of you speak French and need something in French, I'm your girl.
Hi, my name is Paul Lee. I live in Toronto, Ontario. I have vascular dementia. I was diagnosed in 2009. I am an advocate for those who cannot speak. And welcome.
So that's the people on this particular action team. And we'll go to the next slide and introduce you to more information. How did DAC get started? Well, look, it started over a beer. We, many of us, about 200 of us, met in Ottawa a year ago. Just doesn't seem possible. And we went to the national strategy meeting. And after that, we would often sit and have a beer and have some heavy conversations. It was an exciting moment in history to be part of the development of National Dementia Conference. The care partners and people with dementia managed to just really bond, and out of that became Dementia Advocacy Canada.
You did that very well, Myrna.
Thanks, Paul. Next slide.
Now we'd like to share our mission, vision, and values with all of you. And these are really the foundation of who we are, what we do, why we do it, and they guide all of our actions and how we conduct ourselves. So our mission is persons living with dementia, their families and care partners living in balanced partnership in the community. Our vision is for people living with dementia, their families and care partners to live in balanced partnership in the community. And as values, we are collaborative, inclusive, informed, resilient, and authentic. And I should mention that all of these were developed through extensive consultation with the entire membership.
We just want to remind everyone that this session is going to be recorded.
how you can be involved in Dementia Advocacy Canada. We do have, when you come into our website, you'll be able to see that under resources, we have a number of webinars. We have, I believe, 8 action teams. We encourage other people to join DAC, Dementia Advocacy Canada, to be a dementia advocacy partner. And of course, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, I think Instagram. The people that are caregivers or care partners and people with dementia are going to be making the hard decisions in collaboration. But we're looking for people who want to assist us as well, although you wouldn't be a voting member. Is that correct, my team?
That sounded good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Myrna. So as you just heard, one of the ways to get involved with Dementia Advocacy Canada is by attending a webinar. And there's about 1 webinar hosted per month. And if you are signed up as a member, you will get an email with a link to register for any upcoming webinars. So on the screen here, you can see 4 different ones that have already been hosted. One of them was in April, the first one, and that was on how to reduce the risk of getting lost. In May, we talked about what you need to know about the Center for Aging and Brain Health Innovation, otherwise known as CABI. In June, the topic was dementia and medical assistance in dying. And our most recent webinar was just last week, and it was on understanding Canada's national dementia strategy in partnership with the Public Health Agency of Canada. The next webinar will be on August 20th, and it too will be with CABI in a discussion on innovations for review. So if you can't attend a webinar, but you are interested, we encourage you to register regardless, because you will receive a link of a recording after the webinar has been held. And all of the webinars you can also find on the website under the events tab, where the recordings will be uploaded after the event as well. And if you're interested in any particular topic, we'd encourage you to give us that feedback so that we can do our best to hold webinars that are of interest to you in our future schedule. And you can go to the next slide.
These are our DAC action teams. Do you want to go ahead with this slide as well?
Sure. So there's a number of action teams, and this is one of the ways that you can get involved with Dementia Advocacy Canada. When you signed up, you probably received a link to register for any one of these teams. So as you can see here, this is just a screenshot of what you should have been able to see once you click the link. And it's a really easy and user-friendly way to sign up and get involved. So what you see there is a new member welcome action team, which is ourselves here this afternoon to welcome you. There's a communication team, a political engagement team, and a tech innovation team. So we welcome and encourage involvement in any of these committees. And by signing up, you'll receive more information if you're interested.
Well done, Roseanne.
Thank you, Myrna.
So we've been busy putting this together for you. We hope that you see some of the information you've been looking for, and we hope you'll stay on board. Next screen.
So at this point, we'd like to turn the floor over to all of you, and we'd love to hear your comments and your feedback either on the webinar today or on Dementia Advocacy Canada. And really, we want to learn more about you and why you're interested and why you've decided to join us today. So if anyone would like to, please feel free to introduce yourself. Tell us what your connection is to dementia. Explain a little bit about how you heard about Dementia Advocacy Canada, and what are you hoping to get from joining us? And if there's anything else you'd like to share, then please feel free to do so. Is there anyone who would like to begin?
Christine from BC, do you have something you'd like to offer?
Oh, sure. Sorry, I was just waiting for some others. I can't see how many people are here, so I can only see the four of you. So I don't know. I was waiting to see if someone was going to speak. So some of you know me. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Christine.
Been missing you lately, but I've been a little busy.
That's keeping you off the streets and out of trouble.
Yeah, well, sort of. So my name is Christine Tilker. I live in the Okanagan Valley in Vernon, BC. Diagnosed 4 years ago with vascular dementia. Then sort of went through the undiagnosed, re-diagnosed, you know, the round and round we go. I actually sort of, it goes back to when I spoke in Chicago. I was then asked if I would like to take part in the event that you guys all went to with the 200 people. But somehow miscommunications happened there, and my invitation never actually made it to me. So I didn't end up going. But because of that, I was aware of sort of the subsequent stuff happening, and then this spin-off happening. And I really want to get involved. I'm very heavily involved with Dementia Alliance International, as most of you know. And so that does keep me busy, but I think it also will lend itself well to working with Dementia Advocacy Canada, because I would like to be able to do more advocacy work and outreach work closer to the ground at home. And it's really difficult here. People are very isolated here. You know, when we don't live in the big cities, when we don't live in Vancouver or surrounding area or Toronto or Montreal or those places, you become quite isolated. So we need to find ways to promote more events that allow us to speak in smaller communities, and find those of us that are willing to do that, so that those people can find the tools to be less isolated and improve their lives. So that's sort of why I got involved. And I know I've missed quite a bit since the beginning, but I was in New York and then in LA, and so it's been a busy traveling stretch, and I'm just heading to the coast on Thursday now. So it's been a bit of a stretch, but I'm happy to be here, happy to help, happy to get involved and do what I can, so that we can make things better for a lot of people.
Thanks, Christine. Roseanne, my screen is not very full of those that are attending. Would you like to call upon someone else to speak?
Well, as a matter of fact, I can't currently see anyone that's joined us either. So is there anyone, though, that would like to offer?
Ron Posno?
Roseanne, it's Ron Posno. I'm willing to talk.
Hi, Ron.
Hi, Roseanne.
Hey, Ron, just a sec. So if you take a look at all the faces and right down at the very bottom of your video faces, there should be a little wee arrow that you can click that pulls up more people. Does that work?
Yep.
I have a list. I don't have a video, but I have a list of everybody.
Okay. And so Genevieve, right on the video itself, all the different faces, there should be just a little directional arrow. It's white. You might have to move your screen up. And at the very top of the video, you can click on there's four squares, four little wee squares. If you click on that, it will bring up 4 different videos all at once.
I'm not seeing that at the moment, Mary Beth. So if someone else can manage the participation, that would be great.
Yeah,
Thank
well,
you.
we've got Ron who would like to introduce himself. So why don't we start with Ron there?
Okay, not that I consider my words any more important than anybody else's, and I sure as heck don't want to jump to the front of the line.
Oh, no.
I'm Johnny come lately in this particular matter. I realize now about all the work that went into this long before I ever heard about Dementia Advocacy Canada. It's really a pleasure for me and important for me to get this background information, of which I was generally unaware, and that's a polite word for just being, I was ignorant, and I'm sorry about that. I realized that this advocacy from a national perspective is very important, but I want to support what Genevieve was just talking about. And that's, I can't think, Christine was see, I got a memory problem. My issue is I have MCI. Was diagnosed almost 4 years ago, and I'm beginning to feel it slip. I've got hints of my future on a regular basis or irregular basis, but it's happening. So I lose connection with things very quickly now. So Christine, I think it was you that pointed out that what you like to do, and what you think is important, and I agree with you entirely, is the need for us, particularly those of us who have dementia directly, or those of us who are caregivers living with dementia, to get out and talk about it. I've had the good fortune, I'm associated with a tremendous local chapter of the Society for Alzheimer's here in London. They're a very good group, an active group. And through them, I'm being brought into, just by way of example, 9 different community libraries to talk about dementia. Now, the topic is how to make dementia an inclusive community. But what I'm finding out, as I listen to what the people are really saying to me, what they want to say, is that most people want to find out what is dementia. They know something about Alzheimer's, and like everybody else in this world, they know somebody that has dementia, but they don't know what the hell it is, and they're terrified of it. So I find that we have a tremendous need to get out there and talk to people so that they can begin to understand that dementia is not a contagious disease. It's nothing that's going to bring damage to people, and the things that they can do as people in the community can help people with dementia tremendously. The basis of it is you have to understand it a little bit. You have to know something about it. We have to remove the stigma. So the more that we can get out and talk directly to the people in the communities, I fully support. So Christine, you're bang on with your remarks there. I'm fully in favor of it. And I realize I can talk still, and that's a good thing. But there are also people with whom I'm connected with in our local society who have dementia or are living with it. They're care providers. They talk very well too. So there are lots of us that can do it. And I really support what Christine is talking about. I think this is a major role that all of us can undertake. These webinars are terrific. It's a great way for us to share information, provide a forum, but the real work is coming with what's going to happen in our community. And that's what I really support.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Paul. Very, very well done. I think Mary wants to say something. You there, Mary? No, who's next?
Jules?
Daisy? Daisy, it's lovely to see your name up here. Love to see your face. I've met Daisy many times through the Alzheimer's Society. There you are. What could you contribute today?
Hi, Myrna. Hi, everyone. My name is Daisy Couture, and I work for the Alzheimer's Society of BC, which is how I know Myrna. Yeah, we've worked with Myrna for a little bit and heard about DAC through her, and so it's been really wonderful to hear about all the work that you guys are doing today. Yeah, it'll be so great, and I think you guys are going to do a lot of really important work. And I know I can speak for the society here in BC, but if there's any way that we could be helpful or support you, I think we would be happy to do that, but we're really excited to see all the work that you're doing.
Thank you so much. Just one of those magical people is Daisy.
So we have Jules Bries. Are you there, Jules? Jules? Or Mary? And we have Christine McWilliams as well. Any of you want to say hello? They don't seem to be.
They're not connected. I'm sorry about that. I know Jewel personally, and she has a lot to say, and she's a care provider. Her partner is well into Alzheimer's, and she's doing a terrific job. Between the two of them, they just wrote a book called Chocolate Cake or Hot Chocolate and the Decadent Society, and it's wonderful. And Jewel was primarily responsible for setting that up. Daisy, they both live on the island there, so maybe you are familiar with Jewel. I don't know. I hope you do get connected soon.
Let's bring Paul back into the conversation. Paul, where are you?
Oh, Paul is muted.
Okay, I'm back.
Oh.
Sorry for the silent treatment. I was thinking. I live in Toronto, and as I said in the introduction, I was diagnosed 2009, and when I was released from the hospital, I wasn't given any information for support groups or anyone to talk to about what I had. I was told to go and live my life. In 2015, I found Alzheimer's Society. And one thing when I first met them, they said, thank you for being here and thank you for what you want to do. And what I wanted to do was talk. And I realized shortly after that that not many people back in 2015 really wanted to talk about dementia or Alzheimer's. And I love to talk. I love to talk about me and what I have in mind. I have two campaigns that I'm very strong on. One is end the stigma, and the other is anti-smoking. I smoked for 52 years. In 2014, I quit. And it was, I guess, 2019. Although I should mention, when I had the stroke, they had no idea why I had it because everything was in good shape. But 2019, I finally found out that my heart caused my stroke. And kind of surprising, but because it was the heart, I didn't have any speech impediments or physical disabilities. So I was very lucky to a certain extent. I live well. I live alone. I do all my shopping, my banking, and everything else. But my daughter is my power of attorney in case I slip. So I'm a big-time advocate and a public speaker. That's it.
For the audience that's listening, we've got coast to coast today, and sometimes we do get people from the Yukon, and we're trying to stretch out and have every part of Canada joining. The Inuit peoples, hopefully we'll be able to involve them, our First Nations. We're all in this together. Alzheimer's, for instance, has got some of their pamphlets in different languages. So sometimes when I'm going to do an educational session, I'll take Punjabi and perhaps some Mandarin, or another time I might take some Korean pamphlets. So they're trying to be really inclusive in getting to everybody that we need to. It's long, hard work, but it's so, so satisfying. Roseanne?
Oh, I just see that Christine had her hand up. Go ahead, Christine.
Thanks. I just, seeing that we have Daisy here from the Alzheimer's Society, I just wanted to say, I would really like to see, especially since this is sort of a new upcoming organization, and I think it's a really important one. I would really like to see working partnerships where things like Advocacy Canada, the Alzheimer's Society, I know there's a separate Alzheimer's group in Calgary that's really prominent. I'd like to see some of these groups. My hope would be that they would work with Advocacy Canada, and especially the Alzheimer's Society, because they are clear across the country, to help us be able to get out there and speak. So by that I mean they could help us host an evening with, it would be an evening with the Alzheimer's Society, Dementia Advocacy Canada, and we or Advocacy Canada can provide speakers who can speak to different topics so that we can reach people in these smaller communities. So I'd really like to see those kinds of things happening. I think the shared load to promote those kinds of things would go a long way to being able to reach more people. I guess that's the best way to put it.
Thanks for that, Christine. That's really great to know, and I will absolutely pass that on to some of my colleagues here.
Thanks.
Mary Beth?
So the interesting thing that you're talking about, Christine, is we too, so my name is Mary Beth Whiten. I guess I should introduce myself. And I'm the co-chair of Dementia Advocacy Canada. And we have a meeting next week with, the Canadian Dementia Association. I think it's Thursday of next week. And really to explore just that, how can we work in partnership? Because we're certainly not replacing anything that the Alzheimer does. We want to be able to help in enhancing what they do, and hopefully vice versa. So you're definitely on the pulse of it, and we're looking to really have this as a national organization and not Ontario-centric, for instance. So we're really trying to push our boundaries out. We have our first member from Quebec who joined a couple of weeks ago, and fortunately enough, we now have Genevieve, who can also speak French and help us in that area. We would really like to include, in particular, Myrna, some of the groups that you've spoken about that are off the coast of BC. So the Hinjabi, the different cultural groups, and continue to make this the most unique group for dementia advocacy. And I think unique makes us Canadian. So all these different, the blend of all these different cultures. but we stand together on that one front, which is dementia. So you're bang on, and we're excited about some of our partners that we're looking to move forward with.
Great. Yeah, good, thanks. I'd like to hear more about that meeting once it happens. That's good, yeah. I think too often in the past there's been, and we're starting to see worldwide, because of all my work with Dementia Alliance, I know we're starting to see worldwide where there's more and more partnerships and alliances happening, because it is the way that we're going to be able to make the biggest impact and the biggest difference. And so I'm really excited that this, starting out so fresh and new, can come in and do that right sort of out of the gate. We have it provides a really strong platform to reaching some really and address some really unique challenges, because we're such a big country and our people are spread out so far. You know, it's very easy for people in the big cities to have meetings and have this access to this and that. But what about all those outlying people, right? So it gives us a huge, huge platform to be able to work from. And I know Daisy, I had met with, I'm going to get her name wrong because I'm messing everybody's names up these days. The president of BC Alzheimer's Society. I met with her a number of months ago, actually. I drove to Hope and she drove from Vancouver to Hope. And we had a lovely afternoon meeting. And we did talk about these kinds of things and how moving forward, you know, the picture needs to look so that we can not have so many people sort of falling through the cracks and not getting the support and information that's vital. So that's really great, Mary. I'm really happy to hear that.
Thanks, Christine. I just want to read a couple of the chats and then we'll go to Mary. Hello, everyone. I'm having some audio issues, but want to say hello. I work for the Alzheimer's Society in Alberta and maybe the Northern Territories. I run our online community cafe, which would be more than happy to explore your tech team you spoke of earlier in the webinar. And that's a lovely message. I have another one, have a new person from Quebec. I think I'm probably reading ones you said. And Jules is here. Ron, thank you for the kind words. My interest in advocacy is for an amendment to Bill C-14 that would legislate MAID for those with dementia who have made this choice. I applaud all that DAC is doing. My advocacy, as I mentioned, is in this amendment to be presented and passed by the next government, whoever that might be. And I think Mary is waiting. Go ahead, Mary. Mary Hang. I guess there's an audio issue. Anyone else want to speak up?
Myrna, I'll go ahead.
Hi, Ron.
You see, Myrna?
Yeah, I got you.
I'll just fill in a little bit. I don't want to take too much time, but I'd really like to hear from Mary. So when Mary gets connected properly, feel free to stop me, please. I think right off the top, there are two major things here. We're developing a really, truly national advocacy group. And that's wonderful, right from coast to coast and as far as our northern and more remote communities. That we need a vote, we need a voice nationally. But to go back to what Paul was talking about, and I think I alluded to it as well, there's a tremendous need for advocacy at our local groups or where we live. We need more people like us, people with dementia or people living with dementia, to get out and talk to the ordinary people in the community. I'm finding that there's a tremendous response. I told you about my meeting with different library groups. They all responded very positively and constructively. I've been meeting deliberately with Rotary clubs and Kiwanis clubs. This is a means of getting the word out. Again, people are ready and anxious to get information. And I can't think of any better group than the people who are connected with DAC. We can provide a resource to build on in terms of providing information to the local people. And there's nobody that has the credibility of talking than somebody with dementia or somebody who's a care partner. We can tell the truth and it can be believed. I just want to support that.
I couldn't agree more with you. I also believe we have a responsibility to get out there and speak to people. And if we're able, we need to continue doing it as long as we can. I think it helps us stay positive for a much longer period of time. Generally, people look at us if we're talking saying, oh, you don't look like you have dementia. And that's because they don't see us often enough. We all need to get out there and we need to tell our story and tell them there actually is hope. Very opposed to what our doctors tell us when we're diagnosed. And yeah, Ron, you're right. I've talked to church groups. I've made those calls myself. Any group I can think of. I went and spoke to a co-op in a community close to me the other day, and they're actually sending a donation. Oh my goodness. So things are happening. We need to keep that ball rolling.
So I think Mary is able to talk, so I think we might want to give her the floor for a few minutes here.
Yep.
Oh, am I actually in? Sorry.
You're there.
We can hear you.
Okay, yeah, sorry, my apologies. Okay. I think it's a case where, especially with the federal election coming up, there's a lot of opportunity to meet with the federal politicians. They are out and actively meeting the people in their constituency. So you can try to find out where they are and go and talk to them. My local MP has a coffee hour, and I have gone over and talked to her about some of the things, and the more they hear about this is going to be a huge issue, and they're not quite ready for it. Hopefully, they will, they would get more scale up a bit faster. I have to admit, while the $50 million sounds nice, it was $3 million for the first year and 12 for each of the next 4 years. And I frankly told Anita, if you count, say the number of people with dementia, it's $7.37. And if you count average of 2 care partners for each person with dementia, that's like $2.40 some cents. Not even a cup of coffee. So for the first year. So sometimes it's a good first step, but considering the number and the baby boom is aging, and a lot of frailty and dementia start happening in the 80s, we need to get ahead of the curve. And so the government needs to get ahead of the curve rather than trying to follow it, which is, I think, what we're doing right now.
Where are you from, Mary?
Ottawa.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah. So we actually met with John Fraser, who was the parliamentary secretary when the Ontario dementia strategy was passed. And I'm trying to get us an appointment to talk to the new minister for long-term care. So there are ways to go about it, but seriously, I have just sometimes seen invitations for people living in the area to a picnic or a Canada Day celebration or something in the park. Just go and corner them.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mary.
Good. Anybody else want to introduce themselves or have any questions?
I would just like to say,
Go ahead.
Okay, I won't. Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'd just like to say one thing. 30 years ago, there was the C word was, you weren't supposed to talk about it, the C word, and that's cancer. And where we are now with dementia Alzheimer's is where cancer was 30 years ago. So we've got a long ways to go, but we're on the right path.
Agreed.
Really good. We would like to invite everybody that's online today or those on telephone to take part in our invitation for their bio, to put your profile on the website. It's very helpful to share your story. Someone else might be just in the same boat as you. So as you can see, we have a demonstration of 3 people, Daniel, Matthew, and Frank, who have put their bios on the website. And again, we encourage you to do so as well. At the top of that screen is the Dementia Connections magazine subscription. When you join a Dementia Advocacy Canada, we will send you a Dementia Connections magazine. And there's lots of really interesting information in it. I don't know how many of you heard about the little candies that are actually filled with water to help people hydrate. Things like that are in this Connections magazine. And it's our pleasure to send that to you when you join Dementia Advocacy Canada. Thank you all very, very much for attending. We're so glad that you came and took part in this today. As we said at the beginning, this was our first shot, our first kick at the can, so to speak. I'm sure we can do nothing but get better and better and better, but helpful. Thank you to all the team, Roseanne, Genevieve, Paul, and our behind the scene helpers, Mary Beth and Lisa. It's been our honor and pleasure to do this, and we look forward to participating in more orientations and getting better and better each time we do. Thanks again.
And feel free to contact us if you have any questions.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.